Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elohe Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzhak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, v'Elohei Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon Gomer Chasadim Tovim v'Konei Hakol v'Zocher Chasdei Avot v'Imahot u'Mevii Geula livnei v'neihem למען שמו באהבה. זוכרנו לחיים, מלך חפץ בחיים, וכותבנו בספר החיים, למענך אלוהים חיים, למענך, למענך, למענך אלוהים חיים, למענך, למענך, למענך אלוהים חיים. Remember us, remember us unto life, O God of all, who delights in life. Melech Ozer u'Moshia u'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai,
Baruch Shema.
Magen Avraham v'Ezrat Sarah.
Amen.
אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי מתים אתה רב להושיע, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי מתים ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חורים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בגבולות, ומי דומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה. מי כמוך אב הרחמים, זוכה יצוריו, זוכה יצוריו, זוכה יצוריו, לחיים ברחמים. ונאמן אתה לחיות הכל, ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי המתים.
Amen.
לקדש את שמך בעולם, כשם שמקדישים אותו בשמי מרום, ככתוב על יד נביאך, וקרא זה ואמר, קדוש, 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 אדוני צבאות, מלוך כל הארץ, כבודו. אדיר אדירנו, אדוני אדוננו, מאדיר שמך בכל הארץ.
ברוך כבוד אדוני ממך.
אחד הוא אלוהינו, הוא אבינו, הוא מלכנו, הוא מושיענו והוא ישמיענו, ברחמיו לעיני כל חי. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, ימלוך אדוני לעולם, אלוהייך ציון לדור ודור.
The light of Torah shines forth from Zion. Adonai's teachings flow from Jerusalem.
This scroll has nurtured our people from Sinai to today. It teaches us love and justice, hope and peace.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh v'Norah Shemo. גדלו לאדוני איתי, ונרוממה שמו יחדיו.
We'll invite the parents and grandparents of our Benot Mitzvah that are here to come forward. The rest of the congregation may be seated. Samantha and Noel, you stand next to your beautiful families here today. And we also feel the presence of generations that have come before you. We feel the presence, Noel, of your grandfather, Norman Cantor, of blessed memory, and also your grandparents who couldn't be here because they were not feeling 100%. So Lauren and Andrew, your grandmother and grandfather, we're feeling their presence here as well. We're about to pass these Torahs into your arms. We talked just a few days ago about what it might be like to describe what this Torah is all about to your friends. And there's a well-loved story that tells of a sage of old. His name was Hillel, and there was a young student who came up to him, wasn't someone who studied with Rabbi Hillel, and said, "Hey, Rabbi Hillel, I'll study with you if you tell me everything that's in this Torah while standing on one foot." This is kind of a spunky guy. So Rabbi Hillel could have dismissed him and said, get out of here. But instead, Rabbi Hillel stood on one foot and he said, "What is hateful to you, do not do to another person." That is the entirety of the Torah. Everything else is commentary. And the teenager was stunned and so moved by this idea of kindness and goodness that is inherent in this tradition that he signed up right away to study with Rabbi Hillel. But Noel and Samantha, this is not a surprise to you, I know, because you are students of kindness. You know how important it is to be good, and you take time in your lives with your family, your friends, to do just that. And as we pass this Torah into your arms from your family, passing it down from your family to you, we just hope that you'll continue to embrace the important teachings and lessons of goodness and blessing that are part of what it means to be a bat mitzvah and a member of this community. So we pass these scrolls to you with so much love.
You are gifts and you are blessings. You are history in song. You are hope and you are healing. You are learning to be strong. Ledor vador.
In my Torah portion, Moses is 120 years old, and God summons him and tells him that he will not be allowed to lead his people over Jordan to the Promised Land. Instead, God has chosen Joshua to lead his people into the Promised Land. Moses accepts his fate and tells Joshua to be strong and resolute. Moses advised Joshua not to be afraid of the massive responsibility, because it is God that is truly leading them into the Holy Land. Moses tried to provide as much guidance to Joshua as possible. Initially, I had some trouble understanding why Moses accepted his fate so willingly. Why didn't God allow Moses to go into the land of Israel? It doesn't make any sense to me. It is like if I baked a cake for 40 years and then my brothers threw it out. That would not be fair. Scholars offer some possible explanations, such as Moses struck a rock when God had instructed him to speak to it. It is possible that after 40 years of leadership, that he did not always follow God's instructions. It is possible that God felt that Moses had become power-hungry and arrogant. God may have wanted to re-exert his power over the Jewish people by finding a new prophet. Clearly, God was tired of Moses' arrogance and independence from God. Having said all that, it seems unnecessary and overkill to not allow Moses to lead his people after he had spent his entire life preparing his people for this moment. In modern day times, I could see God taking away Moses' phone for a few days. But why did God punish Moses by taking away his life's work? The punishment does not seem to fit the crime. I would have been very angry if I were Moses, but Moses was a very good sport. He seemed to accept his fate regardless of how unfair, with respect and good sportsmanship. He even offered advice and support to his successor, Joshua. My Torah portion teaches a lesson about being gracious when we lose or we are disappointed, putting our community above ourselves, and focusing on what we have gained and not what we have lost. How do we deal with things that are unfair? And more specifically, how does one move on when they have lost something that they covet or care about? Last January, we as Americans experienced a very different situation from Moses and Joshua. Our leader at the time, President Trump, lost re-election and was very angry about it. He was so angry that he refused to acknowledge his loss and prevented a peaceful transition of power. It gets even worse. When Congress was certifying the results, President Trump incited his followers to storm the Capitol because he felt that his loss was unjust and unfair. People were hurt and died, and our democratic process was disrupted. Trump could have prevented so much death and destruction if he had acted more like Moses. I get it. It's very hard to do the right thing when you feel slighted or wronged. The last year and a half has been a trial for all of us. Many people have truly suffered and even died, but for most of us, it's just been frustrating and unfair. Vaccines en masse have been politicized, and we are being asked to make sacrifices for the health of the country and the world, and some of us have been up to the challenge, others have not. Recently, with the Delta variant, it has been less clear about how to protect the health of those around us. 3 weeks ago, my parents sat me down and told me that we were delaying my bat mitzvah party until the spring. They felt that it was better for our friends, family, and community not to have an indoor party at this moment. It was not a clear-cut decision, since many others were having parties safely. I obviously was disappointed, just like Moses was disappointed about not being able to enter the Holy Land, and Trump was disappointed about not being re-elected. I aspire to be more like Moses, and that meant focusing on the health of our community and less about my desire to have a big party. Moses advised Joshua to be strong and resolute. As a leader, most of my bat mitzvah studying has occurred during the pandemic, and I have wondered what advice Moses would give us now. I think that he would tell us to think about our community and not just ourselves, to not be judgmental of others' choices, and to try to understand others' points of view. Moses focused on his 120 years of service and not on his need for a 121st year. He prioritized the Jewish people over himself. His words have helped me to manage the pandemic and my bat mitzvah. I feel so fortunate to look out at all of your masked faces, even if I can't see your braces or your new shade of lipstick. I feel so lucky to celebrate with you here in the synagogue today. I hope that we can all focus on what we have gained during the pandemic and not what we have lost. Thank you.
You can turn to the next page. By the way, Samantha, I'm wearing a light pink shade of lipstick right now. Okay, go ahead.
My portion is taken from Parshat Vayelech, from the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 31, verses 1 to 8. For my first Aliyah, I call upon my grandparents, Robert and Rochelle Gold, my aunt, Stephanie Gold, my uncle, Thomas Card, and my cousins, Sophie and Bailey Card. For my second Aliyah, I call upon my parents, Jody Gold and Mitch Decaruso, and my brothers, Jackson Gold and Carter Gold.
So invite all the honorees up now. The first group is going to stand just to the right of Samantha. You can stand down for a second. I'm going to come to the middle. So that first group, come on up here. And you guys can stand over here. So you can stand for a second. So So when you're ready, we're gonna do the blessing beforehand. Ready? It's up here. Start.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3.
Baruch et Adonai Hamvarach.
Baruch Adonai.
Hamvarach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Asher batar banu mikol ha'amim. Natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'torah.
Amen. Can you hold this, please? Over your spine. One second. Not yet. Okay, now you can.
Right here. Amen. Vayeleh Moshe Vayidaber et hadevarim ha'ele el kol Yisrael. Vayomer alehem ben me'ah ve'esrim shana anohi hayom lo ohal or latzei velavo vadonai amar elai lo ta'avor et hayarden hazeh Adonai Elohecha hu over lefanecha hu yashmid et hagoyim ha'ele milfanecha virisham Yehoshua hu over lefanecha kasher diber Adonai.
I'll keep your spot. Nicely done. You guys can do the blessing afterwards. Baruch.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Asher natan lanu Torah emet. V'kayei olam notah b'toheinu. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'torah.
Amen. Okay, wait a second. So you guys switch places with these guys. Nicely done. Congratulations. You'll come forward. Point at the top of the transliteration so we can see. Start up here. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Bar. We're gonna start again. We're gonna start again. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Baruch et Adonai Hamvarach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'torah.
Amen. Jody, can you hold that, please?
Is that it?
That's it. Nice job.
Amen. Ve'asa Adonai lahem ka'asher asa lesihon ul'og malhei ha'emori ul'artzam asher hishmid otam untanam Adonai lipnehem va'asitem lahem kehol hamitzvah asher tziviti ethem. Hisku ve'imsu al tiru ve'al tarzu mipnehem ki Adonai Elohecha hu haulei ima lo yarpeha ve'lo ya'azveka.
Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. Baruch atah Adonai
Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'torah.
Amen.
All right, I'm going to give you a chance, Samantha, to step down, and give a squeeze or maybe a tap to your beautiful family. And once you get hello from this bat mitzvah, you can sit down. Yasher koach and mazel tov to you all. All right, I want you to stand up here and listen to Cantor Jenna. There's a few words for you, and then you're going to do the blessing. So just turn towards her. There you go.
Samantha, in a moment, you will be called up to the Torah for the very first time by your Hebrew name, Simcha, a very special Hebrew name as it translates to happiness and joy. And from our interactions over the past few weeks, it's very apparent that you bring such a level of happiness and joy to everything that you do. You bring this joy to your passions. You mentioned you love all things concerned with art, painting, and drawing whenever you can. You're also, from what I hear, always eager to try new and unique things, as you shared with me that you've joined a squash team, which is just so cool. And you bring that joy as you learn a new sport as well. And you bring all of these great qualities to your relationships as well, as you are so close with your older brothers, your parents, and you say above all, your friendships are what is most important to you as you begin this new school year and chapter. So it is my absolute honor, because of who you are as a person and what you will add to our Jewish community, to call you up now to the Torah for your third Aliyah. Ta'amod, 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 habat mitzvah, Aliyah simcha bat meir v'yehudis.
Baruch et Adonai Hamvarach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bahar banu mikol ha'amin v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'torah.
Amen.
Vayikra Moshe lihoshua vayomer elav le'enei Hol Yisrael chazak ve'emat ki ata tavo et ha'am hazeh el ha'aretz asher nishba Adonai la'avotam latei lahem ve'ata tanhilena otam v'Adonai hu ha'holei lefaneha hu yehyeh ima lo yarpeha ve'lo yazveka lo tera ve'lo techad. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu torat emet v'hayei olam nata betohenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'torah.
Amen.
I will continue with chapter 31, verses 14 through 23. For my first Aliyah, I call upon my parents, Felicia and John. And for my second Aliyah, I call upon our dear friends, Lauren and Stephen Cook.
I'll invite you up at this time.
Baruch Hu et Adonai Hamvarach.
Baruch Adonai Barach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'Torah.
Amen.
Bless Adonai, who is blessed. Blessed is Adonai, who is blessed, now and forever. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, who has chosen us from among the peoples and given us the Torah. Blessed are you, Adonai, who gives the Torah.
Amen. Amen. Vayomer Adonai el Moshe ein korvu yamecha lamud kera et Yehoshua v'hidyatzvu be'ohel mo'ed va'atzavenu vayelech Moshe v'Yehoshua v'hidyatzvu be'ohel mo'ed vayera Adonai ba'ohel be'amud anan vaya'amod amud ha'anan al petach ha'ohel vayomer Adonai el Moshe hein shohei im avatecha v'kam a'am hazeh v'zana acharei Elohei nechacha aretz asher hu v'ashama b'kirbo v'azavani v'hefer et briti asher karati ito.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam, asher natan lanu Torat emet, v'chaye olam nata betukenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'Torah.
Amen.
Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, who has given us a Torah of truth, implanting within us eternal life. Blessed are you, Adonai, who gives the Torah.
Okay, when you're ready.
Baruch Hu et Adonai Hamvarach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim, natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'Torah.
V'chara api vo vayom hahu va'azavtim v'histarti fanai mehem v'haya le'echol umtza'uhu ra'ot raba'ot v'tzarot v'emor bayom hahu halo oh ki ein Elohai bekirbi metzauni havrot ha'elech ve'anochi haster astir fanai bayom hahu al kol hara'ah asher asa ki fana el Elohim acherim ve'ata kitvu lachem et hashira hazot v'lamda et b'nei Yisrael sima befihem leman tieli hashira hazot le'ed b'vnei Yisrael.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah emet, v'chaye olam natan b'tochenu, Baruch atah Adonai, noten haTorah.
Amen. Now I'll give you a chance to give everyone a squeeze up here. So take a step down for a moment. You can say, congratulations. Congratulations. Come over here. Face Jen. I was just going to talk to you for a minute.
Noel, you are about to be called up to the Torah for the very first time by your Hebrew name, which is Naomi, who is a strong female figure in our Torah, someone to be admired as she is seen as a caring mother within her story and someone who rises above challenges. Before we call you to the Torah, however, we get to brag a little bit about you to your loved ones here, who also get to share in this moment with you. And it is clear from our meetings together that your family is so proud of all that you put into the learning and the study for this day. Your mom tells me that you're an amazing, intelligent baker, making substitutions in the kitchen without using Google at all, just, seeing what works, and it always works out. And she remarked on the time you made a delicious apple honey challah, very appropriate for the time of year, for everyone. Sounds delicious. Your passions include swimming, painting, and drawing, and maybe you guys can do a art collaboration one day. I'm just putting that out there. And you put a lot of stock in your relationships, as you are extremely close with your brother. You told me always looking out for each other and always caring about one another as you go through life together. And it's for all these reasons that we are so proud to call you up to the Torah for the very first time by your Hebrew name. Ta'amud, 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 habat mitzvah. Aliyah Naomi bat simcha v'jon.
Baruch et Adonai hamivorach.
Baruch Adonai hamvarach leolam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai hamvarach leolam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
So I'll just take a second to find this.
Ki avienu el ha'adama asher nishbati la'avotav zavat chalov udvash v'echel v'sava v'rashen ufana el Elohim acherim la'avadum v'ni atzuni v'hefer et briti v'haya ki timsena oto ra'ot rabot v'tzarot v'anta hashira hazot lafana le'ed ki lo tishachach mi pizaro ki yadati et yitzro asher hu osa hayom beterem avienu el haaretz asher nishbati vayachtov Moshe et hashira hazot bayom hahu vayilamda et bnei Yisrael vayetza et Yehoshua bin Nun vayomer chazak ve'ematz ki ata tavi et bnei Israel el haaretz asher nishbati lachem ve'anochi echyei imak. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam nata b'tohenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Please rise.
וזאת התורה ששם משה לפני בני ישראל על פי אדוני ביד משה. יאללה לי 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 לי
The portion I just read is at the very end of the Torah. It describes how Moses is very old and has been told by God that he will not be leading the people into Israel. As a reminder, the Israelites had been wandering through the desert for 40 years. God then called Joshua to be the next leader, and Moses promised to the Israelites that God will not abandon them. At the end of this week's portion, Moses prepares to recite a poem to the Israelites, that is to remind them of everything that they have been taught. As my late grandfather Norman liked to say, be a shepherd, not a sheep, which means be a leader. When I read my Torah portion, it reminded me of this. It reminded me of how Moses was the shepherd and the Israelites were the sheep. Moses' goal was to lead them to Israel, the land of milk and honey. To me, a leader is someone who also takes others' opinions and ideas into consideration. A leader doesn't treat the followers like they are less than them. Moses showed his passion and drive for leading the Israelites. In preparation for this teaching, I read a commentary that thought Moses didn't want to give up his role. It said, Moses was worried and in distress that the next person was going to do something that he wouldn't do, or something he thought was wrong. Even if this commentary was telling the truth about Moses' inner mind, the actual text of the Torah shows Moses supporting Joshua, the next leader. Joshua knew how to lead and understood that he was going to have tremendous power and responsibility. This portion made me think of leaders I have studied or know and admire, such as my older brother, William. To me, William is a leader because he leads his Boy Scouts to do things that they sometimes don't want to do. William is a patrol leader for Troop 662. He guides them in activities such as cooking dinner, building tents, and getting organized for a hike. William's leading of his scouts reminds me a bit of how Moses led the Israelites. One of the leadership qualities I most admire in William is his comfort in sharing his opinions. He is not afraid to be honest about what is going on in our country or our world. When there is something he is concerned about or passionate about, he talks about it. He talks about his feelings and his side of the issue. To me, William resembles Moses because William isn't afraid of a challenge and isn't afraid to speak up. Two other leaders I admire are President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris. By definition, our president and vice president are called upon to be leaders. It is clear President Biden has taken on the challenge of fulfilling his campaign goal of having one of the most diverse cabinets the country has ever seen. He is driven and passionate about hiring people who reflect all of America and not just one demographic. While his cabinet are all immensely qualified, it is still incredible to see that our vice president is a Black woman, our chair of the Council of Economic Advisors is a Black woman, our administrator of the Small Business Administration is a Mexican woman, and the Secretary of Transportation is an openly gay man. Biden resembles Moses because he shows his drive and passion for leading our country, and Biden is leading by example and making a change in the world. As I said earlier, I believe leaders help others achieve their objective and also take others' ideas and opinions into consideration. Being a leader doesn't always require being in front of the whole group. One can also follow responsibly. Everyone can be a leader. I believe it is important for each of us to take stands for what we believe in. When we do this, we're leading by example. And sometimes we may also find it important to take a more public leadership role. I am passionate about the environment and climate change. Through my conversations with others, I want to teach others about climate change and open their eyes to something very serious and problematic that is going on in our world. I also hope to provide ways to help our planet. Here are a few ways you could help. Do not litter, and if you see litter, pick it up and throw it away. Be conscious of how you dispose of items, recycle items that are easily biodegradable, and use less fossil fuels. Walk instead of driving and turn off the lights when you're not in the room. Ask me more about this, and together we can help protect our planet. In the Torah, God teams up with Moses, Joshua, and other leaders to help our world. When we take on a leadership role and help others and our world, we are also teaming up with God. I want to do my part and partner with God and help and make a difference with climate change. I hope you'll join me.
Noel, amazing job. I'm telling you, we're all joining you right now. We're in because you've inspired us to do so.
The Haftarah for this week is taken from the book of Hosea. I will be reading from chapter 14, verses 2 to 5. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam asher bachar b'nvi'im tovim v'ratza v'divrayhem ha'ne'emarim be'emet. Baruch atah Adonai haboher b'Torah u'Moshe avdo u'Yisrael amo u'Viviyeh hamet v'tzedek.
Amen.
Shuva Israel ad Adonai Elohecha ki chashalta ba'abonecha kechu imachem devarim veshuvu el Adonai imru elav kol tisa avon v'kach tov un shalem afarim sefatenu ashur lo yoshienu al sus lo nerkav velo nomar od Eloheinu lema'aseh yadeinu asher becha yerucham yatom erpa meshuvatam ohavim nedava ki shavai pi mimenu.
I will continue with chapter 56, verses 7 to 8 from the book of Isaiah. Bahavi otim el har koji vesimaktim bevei tefilati olotehem vesivhehem leratzon al mizbehi ki veiti beit tefillah yikarei leho ha'amim ne'um Adonai Elohim mekabetz nidhei Yisrael od akabetz alav lenikbatza. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam zor kol ha'olamim Sadik המדבר ומקיים, שהוא דבריו אמת וצדק. על התורה ועל העבודה ועל הנביאים ועל יום השבת הזה שנתת לנו, אדוני אלוהינו, לקדושה ולמנוחה, להבוד ולתפארת. על הכל, אדוני אלוהינו, אנחנו מודים לך ומברכים אותה. יתברך שמך בפי כל חי, תמיד לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני, מקדש השבת.
Noel back up here, and I just want you guys to pause in this moment and reflect on everything that you have everything that you guys have just accomplished over the past couple months and this morning. And we are all so proud of you. I'm proud of you. Your rabbis are proud of you. Are you guys proud of what
Yeah.
they just did? Oh my gosh, it's amazing. So just look out and see all of the beautiful faces that love you and supported you through this whole process. And we want to just celebrate you together. So let's rise and do that as we join in Siman Tov.
Siman Tov, Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov, Siman Tov, Siman Tov, Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov, Siman Tov, Siman Tov, Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov, Siman Tov.
Please be seated. So do you remember at the beginning I said today is Shabbat Shuvah? It's traditionally the day where, or actually in days of old I would say, it was one of the few days that our sages would teach our community in the form of a sermon. And I told you, we have really good teachers for you today. So now you know I was not fabricating that statement because we have the best teachers this very special morning. Congratulations and thank you both. I want to add a few words to those that you so impressively taught us. I actually want to add 2 words. And those words are chazak ve'ematz. In English, there are a few more words. It means be strong and resolute, or be strong and courageous. And it's interesting, both of your Torah portions, it's very rare for this to happen. When you chanted and you chanted these words, chazak ve'ematz. So, Torah quiz time. There's a few times it's said in the portion, but who says these words to someone else in this portion? What would you say? What would you say? Moses says them to Joshua. God also speaks them to Moses and Joshua in the portion, but in the exchange, Moses says them to Joshua, be strong and courageous. And what's the context? Do you know, or does anyone know, what's the context that Moses is doing this? He's transitioning the leader, right? So is it, I guess what I'm saying, do you remember, or Samantha, do you remember? Is he doing this privately, like in Moses' tent, or is he doing it somewhere else? He's doing it in front of all of Israel. He's saying to them, Chazak, his successor, Chazak ve'ematz. And you both spoke, really, just, I'm not just being nice here. You both spoke so thoughtfully and impressively about this dynamic that's going on between Moses and his successor. So he says to him, be strong in front of all of Israel. Now, I've seen this portion many times, and I've always thought it was a very nice part of the story. Like, isn't this really, this is the way it should be. Like, Moses is supporting his successor. He's saying, be strong and resolute, and go forward. But for some reason this year, I had a different sense of what was going on. And that is that it struck me that Moses is being very vulnerable at this point, that he's sharing something very intimate with Joshua and with all the people. And that is that even though you're accomplished, Joshua was very accomplished. He had already done some pretty courageous and strong things. That's why he was selected to be the new leader. But even that was the case, he was saying to Joshua, this job is going to be so tough that it might cause a massive amount of fear and anxiety. And Moses knows this, of course, because he himself had experienced such stress and challenge. So in passing the torch to Joshua, he's being open about that, and he's explaining to Joshua that even though that tough choices will be a part of this responsibility in his life, nonetheless, chazak ve'ematz. You can be strong, and you can be resolute, and you can lead these people. By the way, we've seen this with, you mentioned past presidents. It's not an uncommon conversation that people say, if you look at a president before they joined or took on the responsibility of president, and 4 years later, their hair turns gray. And it's not only because they're getting older, it's because of this challenge that happens. Even if the president-elect is a very accomplished, experienced leader, it's so demanding that they physically change because of the demands of the work. So, just to be clear, it's not chazak ve'ematz, be strong and courageous. It's not because you are strong and courageous that you don't have anxiety and fear. It's when you have anxiety and fear, which are part of life and leadership, dig deep for the strength and courage that exists in each of us, and you'll be okay. And this is the key quality of successful leaders. And Moses tells us in front of all the Israelites, and God's there too, because Moses wants them to know this too, that he wants them in on the reality of how hard it's going to be for Joshua, that Joshua is going to need them to support Joshua as he goes forward as the leader, that it's not just a cakewalk just because you're the leader. And he tells the people too, because they too are going to experience times of terror, and they too can be chazak ve'ematz. It won't be easy. In fact, he's guaranteeing it's going to be hard for them, and yet that they will be able to be resilient and persevere. So Noel and Samantha, here's a Shabbat gift for you. We have a teacher at our seminary, Rabbi Norman Cohen, who likes to say on Shabbat the tradition gives us a gift. So Noel, Samantha, here's a Shabbat gift for you. Chazak ve'ematz. Just like Moses used this wisdom, just like Joshua was given this wisdom, you can use it. This is true for all of us, but I especially want to speak to both of you on your bat mitzvah day. When it's hard, when it seems extra terrifying or intimidating, it's not because you're weak, it's because you're human. It's a part of what all of us will face during our lives. And you, each of you, has tremendous capacity to be strong and courageous in the face of it all. You can honor and be true to the challenge, and then find a way through it because you have the ability within to do just that. You can lead yourself. You could lead others. It's possible. It's within you, this teaching of chazak ve'ematz. I have a bonus gift for you on this day that you become bat mitzvah, this special Shabbat, which happens to fall on the 20th anniversary of the attacks on our city and on our nation this September 11th. And no doubt it's a day of mourning and memory and more. Rabbi Josh Davidson, who is now the senior rabbi at Temple Emmanuel, up the street, our friend and our neighbor, was the assistant rabbi here at Central Synagogue 20 years ago. And he tells the story of a 15-year-old who went to school at Stuyvesant, which is in the shadow of the former World Trade Center. And right as the attack happens, they told the students of Stuyvesant to leave the school and go home. And he lived uptown, and he headed uptown. He said he mostly ran uptown, and it was a tough day. A lot of us were here that day. Phone lines were jammed. He couldn't get in touch with his family. So instead of going to his family home where he couldn't be sure where he, if he'd see his family, he came to his other home. He came to this home, this synagogue, and he found his rabbis and his cantors, and they embraced. And they found a way to get in touch with his parents. And he wound up going soon after to his family home. So the second gift, which I mentioned to you, which is a gift I think you know of already, is that we want this to be your other home, your additional home. You're lucky. You have the most tremendous families. I mean, I know your families, and listen, you got lucky. You have these most incredible, beautiful, loving people around you, and you to them I know as well. And we want to be an additional home for you, for days when you're scared, or frightened, or sad, or joyful and celebrating something magnificent, or just it's a regular day and you want to be here with your community. We will be here for you, and we will stand by you and your families, and like you did today, we know you'll stand by us, and together we'll be this sacred community where we love each other and care for each other and mourn with each other and celebrate with each other. And I want you to know that's true today, and that'll be true throughout your whole life. We will be here for you, and I hope you'll come and you'll take advantage of that beautiful gift, which again I know you've already done, and look forward to us continuing to do together. Well, congratulations. It is a spectacular morning. Thanks to you, and this is very, very sweet for all of us. You've given us an additional meaning to September 11th, because it is also now a day of joy and inspiration and celebration. It doesn't mean that the memory and mourning that we feel for 20 years ago doesn't exist. This also exists alongside it and complements it, which we need. We need you. And we talked about it. You're a bat mitzvah now. That means that we count on you to be a young adult in our community to take on the responsibilities which you spoke about in your Divrei Torah so thoughtfully. Where we know those aren't just words for you. We know you mean it, that you're a blessing for us. You want to continue to be a blessing. And so it is. And I have some additional blessings to share with you, some private blessings that I'll share with you at the Ark. And as I do so, I know all of us have blessings for these beautiful young women. As we rise, which we'll do in a moment, I'll invite you to share those blessings in your mind and in your heart, and then you can share with them privately after the service concludes. Please rise.
Lechi lach to a land that I will show you. Lech lecha to a place you do not know. Lechi lach, on your journey I will bless you, and you shall be a blessing. You shall be a blessing. You shall be a blessing. Lechi lach. Lechi lach, and I shall make your blessing. Amen. 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 May this be your blessing. Amen. 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 May this be your blessing. Amen. May you be sheltered by the wings of peace. May you be kept in safety and in love. May grace and compassion find the way to every soul. May this be your blessing. Amen.
We're going to conclude our prayers with the words of Aleinu on page 282.
Aleinu l'shabeach la'adon hakol, la'tet gedula li'otzeh bereshit, shelo asanu kegoyei haratzot, ve'od samanu k'mishpechot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkenu kahem, ve'gor aleinu kechol ha'molam, va'anachnu kore'im u'mishtachavim u'modim lifnei melech malchei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu v'ne'emar v'haya Adonai lemelech al kol ha'aretz bayom ha'hu yireh Adonai echad u'shemo echad.
We're still at the tail end of this pandemic. I want to squeeze you. I want to hug you. You have to be careful, but we're all embracing you this morning on this special day. And we're also embracing those members of our community who have suffered loss recently, who are mourning a dear one who have died in recent days. And I'm going to name those dear ones at this time before we say the Mourner's Kaddish prayer. Arlene August, Gail Cohn, Paul Glosser, Michael B. Gordon, Doris Gross, Ephraim Kamara, Cynthia Levine, Morgan L. Miller, Jeffrey Newman. We have others that are connected to our community that we're saying Kaddish for because it's the anniversary of their passing. If you are remembering a loved one this morning, I'll invite you to say their name out loud at this time if you would like, or in your heart if you choose that option as well. And of course, on the sacred 20th anniversary of September 11th, the attack on our city and our nation, we keep in our hearts and remember the too many we lost on that day. Mourner's Kaddish is on page 294. Yit Gadal v'yit Kadash Shemei Rabbah b'yama divrach yirtei v'yimlich malchutei b'chayachon v'yomechon u'chayidech al beit Yisrael v'agala uzman kariv v'yimru Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam omei almaya Yit barach v'yishtabach v'yit pa'ar v'yit romah v'yit naseh v'yit hadar v'yit halev v'yit halal Shemei d'kudsha brichu Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechamata, damiram b'yama v'yimru amen. Yehei shlam araba min shemaya, v'chaim alinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. Osei shalom b'mromav, hu yaseh shalom, alinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'yimru amen.
Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu yaseh shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'yimeru amen.
This evening, Jenna, what time this evening are you gathering for a September 11th Memorial
8
Havdalah?
p.m. It will be live streamed to our Facebook page.
Yeah, so if you want to go to the Central Synagogue Facebook page, there'll be a Memorial Havdalah service that we're doing, and then we're joining in a community observance of September 11th memory. So you're welcome to join us for that. I also want to say something which I didn't say, that for the past year and a half, we haven't had two students come together to lead us at a service, and you are the first two since we had to suspend that process, and you're also the first two b'no mitzvah of our fall. And could we have better b'no mitzvah than these most remarkable young women lead us today? So thank you for inspiring us and leading us this morning. We're going to end with a closing song. If you could tell us the
Oseh shalom.
Oseh
Let's
shalom,
sing
a song
together.
of peace. Very good choice, Cantor.
Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.